Just waiting for Mary. It looks like.
There you are.
All right, looks like we have everybody, right?
Yes, I think that's right.
All right.
All right, so without further ado, I'll now call to order the Special Advisory Redistricting Commission meeting for today, March 2nd, 2022. Madam Clerk, would you mind calling roll call?
Yes, Bernardi,
Here.
East,
Here.
Kimball,
Here.
Moreno,
Here.
Seamus.
Here.
Thank you.
Oh, that moves us to item C. If you're able to stand, please join us for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Moving on to item D for communications. Is there any public comment that has been submitted or with us here today?
No, and I don't see any hands being raised either.
Okay. All right. Moving on to item E. We've received the minutes of our last meeting. Given that we were able to review them ahead of time, may I have a motion to approve the minutes?
I will approve, or a motion to approve.
Thank you.
I'll second.
Thank you. So that's a first motion by Robert Seamus and second by Peggy.
And I will call the vote. Bernardi,
Aye.
East,
Aye.
Kimball,
I'm not exactly sure. Should I be abstaining since I wasn't there?
oh, probably. Yeah.
Okay. Probably the most clear thing to do.
Okay. Moreno
Aye.
and Seamus.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion carries 4-0.
Thank you. Moving on to item F, which is the review of public input and the drafts. We'll give floor to, I apologize. We'll give the floor to staff to talk about our process so far.
Yeah, certainly. Chair, members of the commission, you held a public hearing last, was it Wednesday or Thursday last week, 24th. And at that the public hearing, the commission took no additional public comment, but did discuss some additional interest around community submission 10C at the time. And actually in that meeting, worked to develop a new community submission 10D, I guess we're referring to it as. And post that meeting, we sent out a copy of those changes for the commission to review. The commission asked as part of that meeting to schedule one last meeting for the commission to come together and review that community submission 10D to ensure that additional public comment and feedback that you'd like to receive was collected, and have the full commission available to take action on the final recommendation to the council. And so hopefully, I think tonight's meeting is all about focusing around community submission 10D and seeing if the commission's got any additional refinements they'd like to discuss before taking action. I believe Commissioner Kimball also was participating with our teen advisory board. And since she was absent at the last meeting, we wanted to give her an opportunity to report back any additional input from the teen advisory board and see if they had a submission or a community submission map that might be worth the commission to also to discuss. So I think that's the summary for tonight. And I believe Danny has a copy of community submission 10D we can pull up if and when the commission desires to look at that in more detail. So I'll conclude there and give it back to you, Mr. Chair, and happy to provide any additional information and input the commission feels they need in order to make a recommendation. We are scheduled to go to the city council correct me if I'm wrong, on March 15th to present the recommendation out of the commission. So we have until about I'd say Thursday of next week to have a final recommendation for the commission to allow us to stay on schedule for that that council timeline. So don't feel overly pressured that tonight you have to make the decision, but I think you guys are ready. We've had a great discussion and a good thorough analysis and assessment, I think, throughout the process. So I'll conclude maybe with just one more thank you for your diligence and your persistence to stick through this process and your dedication to the community to really give thoughtful insight and input into the final recommendation. So back to you, David.
Thank you, Ken. Appreciate staff taking the time to make sure that we have this last meeting with the entire board here, with the entire commission here. If we can have the map here on our screens, that'd be very helpful.
Yeah, let me bring that up.
Thank you.
Okay, can you see that?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, perfect.
And then Danny, you also sent this to us, each of us to our City of Woodland email.
Correct.
We'll receive that. I appreciate it. I can say on my end with the outreach that I've done with community members, it's been a green light so far. They like the boundaries. It's as neat as we can be. It's in explaining also how it's drafted in census tracts, so we don't have necessarily the cleanest lines, but I mean we have what we're working with here. I do want to allow for other commissioners to talk about what they've heard. Mary, you've worked with our teen advisory board as well, so that was our most participation from the public that we've received. So I'm excited to hear about how that went.
Well, yeah, so they haven't seen these versions, of course. So when I was with them last, which was my second meeting, it was interesting because the first meeting there was a lot. There was 16, I believe, that were there and a really robust group. And the second time there was 4. So unfortunately, the big build up for going home, looking at it, adding some more thoughts and so on didn't quite happen. So that was unfortunate, but the 4 that were there, we did talk a bit. Again, I showed them, was it 10C? I've lost track of the letters, guys. I'm sorry. So whatever was the one that was the closest to this previous to, so maybe it was C.
That would be 10C.
Okay,
Yeah.
so that's what I showed them because it was literally, hot off the presses, so to speak. And we definitely talked about the area around the fairgrounds and the importance of that, or at least the thought of it being a part of District 4 and how that, made sense and so on. So I would say that there wasn't any additional feedback from that 4, that they just were very interested to see kind of the changes and how it went from all those different maps to this kind of final version. And then obviously, again, you guys worked on it again last week. So I haven't talked to them since. So I don't have any additional feedback from the group, but it was really great to work with them. And I think it was very eye-opening. We talked a lot, it's one thing to talk about districts and to talk about lines and all that. But I think the thing that we ended up talking about the most, and that was really pertinent to their lives, was the issues around what this means even at the national level. Like, it's Woodland is one thing, right? But it's like, what does this mean for you at the regional or state or federal level in terms of voting rights, your ability to make sure your voice is heard? And so really that, I think, was the enduring piece to working with the teen advisory group. And they were very, very, very inquisitive and very interested, and had, just lots of good questions in general, and challenged me on several things. And that's exactly what they should be doing. So to me, that's the importance of this process with them. And then I hope that that this next time they hear about redistricting, wherever they are, wherever city or area of the country they're living in, they're going to have a different idea and attitude about what that means, and why should they be involved, and why should they care. So that's my feedback, but no specific with regards to the lines.
That's all right. And, I do want to thank you for the effort and engagement that you, committed to the teen advisory group. And it's no problem, but it's the importance of civic engagement that I think was, I don't want to say solidified, but started there if they didn't already have it. And so it's always good to, include youth groups in that way. And hopefully it'll motivate them and inspire them to want to be engaged in other topics. They are in 10 years. Yeah.
Or between now and then, right? Whatever's going on, and hopefully they'll see how these kinds of processes are really important to them. It's not just something going on somewhere else that does have an impact on their lives. So I think that was the like I said, the enduring part of working with the Teen Advisory Board.
And you survived all the questions, so that's the good
Yeah,
part.
barely. There was some tough ones. I'm like, yes, good question. I don't know the answer. So yeah, this is very good.
Good.
Great group of students and high school students from Woodland. So it's I think certainly very, just makes you feel good, right? That there's students out there at the high school level that are very engaged and, like I said, inquisitive and curious, and are willing to challenge and ask hard questions of the adults in their lives.
As they should.
That's right.
Are there any comments from other commissioners in regards to our latest submission here? If there's any concern or ideas here, as Ken mentioned, we're getting close to the deadline, and so I feel pretty comfortable in saying that we're pretty close to a decision here. But I do want to ask commissioners if there's anything that would like to be said.
I looked over the submission, the 10D, and I thought about the lines, and I thought about just generally about them, and I have to think that this is actually a pretty good representation of what we should be doing or have done. I thought about the little things, like taking the lower right hand corner of the sewage plant and the whatever that other area is, and putting them into District 4 because of some future development or possible future development in the general area. And I thought about that as an example of forethought, of the forethought that's necessary in a lot of aspects of the city. Anyway, I was very pleased with this one, the 10D.
Thank you, Robert. I heard the same thing. I heard the same from the public that I engaged with. They're very comfortable with these district lines, and absolutely understand that Woodland will not be the same Woodland that it is today in 10 years. And so there might be some looking into the district lines before the 10-year
Right.
date. Yeah. Okay.
I'm satisfied with 10D, and as I look at it, I can't think of anything to change at this point, or any reason to change. You know, if I could find something, I know we've already gone over it, and it's because of the boundaries there. So I'm good with it as it is.
Good.
Thank you, Peggy. All right. Any more comment or input on this map before we entertain a motion for action?
Oh, I'm ready to vote.
Chair Moreno, I would just, I do note, and this is important because we've had little attendance at other meetings. So we do have, looks like 4 attendees in the Zoom meeting here. And if it's your pleasure, I just want to double check to make sure that any of those attendees know they can raise their hand and provide a public comment on the item before you take action. So.
Absolutely. Thank you for reminding me on that. So we do invite any members of the public to participate and submit their public comment by raising their hand, or I think that's the only feature that we have here on Zoom. So if there's any public comment, please feel free to do so now.
All right, doesn't look like we can coerce them to make public comment, but good. Well, oh wait, I see one hand up. Good.
Oh.
I take it back. Jay, are you able to ask Hannah, looks like, or Hannah?
Mm-hmm.
You need one more.
Hi, so we're here on behalf of a class at UC Davis about community development. So we are attending your meeting to just kind of get an idea of what community development looks like on like a city level. So yeah, that's why we're here.
Thank you, Hannah.
So Hannah, this is Mary Kimball, but you guys are at the very tail end. There's been a lot of meetings and a lot of discussion, so not a lot of excitement tonight. Sorry about that. Much more robust discussion in previous iterations here, as we had many more maps to talk through. And so just wanted to let you know that normally many of these meetings were definitely much more in-depth and a lot more detailed that we discussed. We're at our very, very tail end of this.
And luckily they're all recorded, so for your viewing, you can go back to them.
Oh, that's a good point, David.
Right.
For your viewing pleasure, you can go back and look at all of that.
And maybe before you take final action, and for the benefit of the students that are attending here. So over the process, I think the commission, one of the things that I appreciate, right, you really narrowed into several key principles that you wanted to look at each of these district boundary maps with. And one of those lenses was, ultimately, let's stick to the principle of trying to minimize as much change in district boundaries as possible so that you can maintain that continuity of representation that those neighborhoods or those districts were used to. So I think that probably could not have been better accomplished than 10D, the submission you see here. The other important one was certainly ensuring that we maintain at least 2 districts with a greater than 50% Latino voter population in those. And so districts 3 and 4 actually achieve almost a 55%. And then District 4, 52% population of Latino. So, definitely, again, probably one of the more stronger principles that the commission was not willing to compromise and has certainly achieved here. And then obviously the other legal constraint, which is ensuring that we do not deviate the population greater than 5%. So maintaining that target deviation at or below a 5%, deviation from what exists under the current district boundaries. So clearly obtain that. And I would say the only principle or objective that you guys were trying to obtain here was recognizing that District 5 in particular is the district that is currently experiencing the largest population growth, because that's the growth area of the community, and we'll continue to see that growth. And how can we, provide as much capacity in that district for additional voter population to grow without sort of putting it out of balance with some of the other districts. And so you can see here that this map ends up with District 5 as being the highest number of voters in that district. And so to the point that Chairman Moreno pointed out, and we brought up at the last meeting, was this is going to be a living map. We will continue to update this map as the population increases in the community. We certainly do not need to wait until the next census to come back to a discussion around modifying the boundaries to ensure that we're maintaining that population distribution as best we can as the community evolves. So we will likely see the council seek to initiate a relook at the district boundaries before the 2030 census. So anyways, so just a quick summary, kind of high level of what some of the key objectives were. And if I failed to include any, please mention those as well. But so anyways, appreciate all that thought, and it really did help refine this recommendation that I think you're about to make. So thank you.
You can. And I think it's also important to mention we do have a couple UC Davis alumni here that took part in this process. So go Aggies.
That's right. Go Aggies.
All right. So without further ado, I'll entertain a motion for us to have this be our submission to go forward to council. Which will be March 15th, correct? March 15th is our 3rd public hearing, which will happen during City Council's time at 6:30, the regular Zoom link.
If that was a motion, I second it.
Wasn't, but I mean,
okay.
I'll motion. I just wanted to.
Sounded kind of like a motion, David. So.
Okay, well then I
move.
Submission to be community submission 10D to be the map that we submit for our 3rd public hearing with City Council. And so.
Is the date the 13th or the 15th?
The 15th. I apologize. Yeah, I fumbled there. So. To make it clear, community submission 10D for the March 15th
City
Council meeting.
Our recommended, that's a good word right there.
Must be an Aggie.
Recommended submission must be an Aggie. Hey now.
I'll blame ESL here, sorry.
And I'm assuming, Ken, it'll go with that very nice high level summary that you provided as to what our principles objectives were in this process.
Yeah, we'll make sure to include that in the staff report and the presentation, and encourage commission members to attend that meeting. We will be virtual. That'll be the last City Council meeting that we'll hold in virtual format before we resume to in person. So
okay, that's too bad. Would have liked to done it in person, but
Well, there'll be a second hearing that they have to do the final adoption.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
April 5th, right?
correct. Yeah, on April 5th.
Good to know.
If you're ready, I'll call the roll
Yes, please.
on this motion. Okay, Bernardi?
Aye.
East?
Aye.
Kimball?
Aye.
Moreno?
Aye.
Simas?
Aye.
Great, thank you. The motion carries 5-0.
Awesome. Well, thank you, everybody. That leads us to our last item, which is to adjourn this meeting, right?
Excellent.
Everyone has a great evening, and thank you to everybody that attended today's meeting.
Thank you, staff. Thank
Yeah,
you,
and we'll let you know
everybody.
if
Incredible.
this action effectively causes you to be decommissioned now. But
Oh,
Sun's over.
I think you are now relieved of duty.
so much pressure off of my shoulders.
Oh,
That was my question. Do we have any role at the city council meeting other than observers?
I would absolutely welcome, any of the commission members that want to speak, and I would even go so far as to say, if you be part of the presentation and share your experience and thought process, rather than having it come from indirectly from staff. So if that is of interest, I'd be happy to work with you and our legal counsel to make sure we're not violating anything in that process. But I think it would be welcomed by the council and certainly by staff.
That'd be great. Yeah.
Yeah. How many folks would be interested in actually saying some remarks as part of the meeting, the presentation?
Ken, is it a time set agenda, or because I unfortunately have something already till 7 o'clock. So I'm just wondering.
Okay. Yeah. In this case, we have some pretty tight legal constraints. We do have to schedule the hearing specifically to start at 6:30.
Okay. So unfortunately, I will not be available.
I think our chair could speak. I think that would be good.
Yes.
Yeah, I can attend.
Great. All right, David. Well, we'll coordinate on the presentation and how best to do that, and whether it's part of the staff presentation or just follow on. I'll acknowledge you, and you can provide the commission's perspective. So,
Sounds good.
all right.
Thank you,
sounds
Seth.
good.
Well, thanks everyone.
Thank you.
All right.
Well
Yeah,
done
thank
again, everyone. We'll see you
Thanks,
around
Danny,
town.
and thanks, Tom, as well.
I know, Danny and Tom,
Certainly,
did a
Anna.
great job.
You guys did a great job.
Good. Thanks, Tom.
Thank you,
And
Tom.
then Jay in the background, always a rock star. Thanks.
Danny,
Really
thank you.
appreciate Ken and Anna and Daniel.
Yeah,
Your work on this
everybody.
was superb and excellent.
And-
You were here set up on time, and it was really well run, and it's all added duties for.
Yeah, well, thank you for your commitment and your time as well. So we appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you, everyone.
And the input. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
All right. Have a good evening, everyone.
Thanks,
you.
everyone.
Bye-bye.
Good night.
Bye.